Part 3. It's the economy, stupid. As you all know, the state of the American economy is awful, to say the least. The main problem that causes many other problems is corporate friendliness. Before any of you point out the fact that the United States has the highest corporate tax rate in the world, realize this: very few major corporations pay any taxes at all. The amount of bailouts that are given by the US government enable the corporate machine to not only survive, but thrive. These immense corporations are the cause of America's unemployment and bad interest rates. These profit machines export America's jobs to far-off lands where jobs that should be given to the American people are being snatched up by foreigners. This problem can be solved very easily. Abolish all privately owned business. Now, I know it, you just cringed, but hang on, I'm not Karl Marx. Private ownership of business should be abolished, but not private operation. To explain what I am talking about, let me provide an example. Consider this simple scenario. Community X exists without a general store. A man, John Sample, comes along and recognizes this, and decides to buy some property and open a business. All is going well until business gets a little bit too good and John Sample decides to go corporate and export his means of production overseas where it is cheaper. Jobs in Community X are eliminated as a cost of cheap goods. Community X has rampant unemployment. This is the scenario of the current American economic system, capitalism. Here is the new collective solution. The same scenario is given. Community X exists without a general store. A man, John Sample, comes along and recognizes this, and tells his neighbors. He and his neighbors take this problem to the government. The government tells the people that it will put out an offer. It will offer up a plot of state-owned land for an individual to open up a store, operate it, and collect the profits. John Sample takes up the offer. But instead, this time, when business gets good, since the state owns the plot of land that John operation, it puts certain restrictions on John's business. So, instead, this time, when John wants to go corporate, he can't. He is forced to keep jobs inside of Community X. Now, one would ask, what is the incentive for doing this in a communistic system, as everyone gets paid the same amount? The answer is this: in the new collective, a static salary is non-existent. Anyone can go to work, wherever they want to, at the market salary for that profession. The only difference is that businesses are privately operated, but operate within standards set by the government. This prevents greedy people from exploiting their own country's economy for their own personal gains. Part 2 of the economic solution, taxes. One must realize that taxes are necessary for a government to operate. A heavy, progressive income tax is the most essential part to the taxing system. In addition to an income tax, various other taxes are needed as well. Sales tax, inheritance tax, and most importantly, the vice tax. One crucial flaw to America's vice taxing system is that prostitution and marijuana are illegal. These two vices are major untapped tax pools. The legalization of these two vices are absolutely essential to pull America out of the Great Recession. Part 3 of the economic solution is taken directly out of the Communist Manifesto. Extension of factories and instruments owned by the state, the bringing into cultivation of wastelands and the improvement of the soil, generally in accordance with a common plan, establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture, combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries, gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country, by a more equitable distribution of population over the country. What this means is, basically America needs to operate like a well-oiled machine. We need to become a major exporter of goods and services, the breadbasket of the world, and the technological and scientific leader of the world. Committees must be set up so that production can be increased exponentially. These committees will be a division of the government that create industrial armies that work to provide the world with the things it needs. Essentially, America should operate like China, but with civil liberties. One of the main criticisms of a communist system is that it has no indicators of prices because it has no market, and therefore, cannot sustain itself. The counter to this is that the new collective is not entirely a communist system and has some sort of a domestic market that can indicate prices, but that is not the main counter to this point. The main counter is this: the new collective will operate on a market economy on a global scale, which will increase profits for the country as a whole. Big business is only good on a global economy. Think about it. In a market economy, one only cares about oneself, so this would work perfectly on a global scale for individual countries. The new collective will do everything in its power to operate on a market economy on a global scale, while remaining socialistic on a domestic level, creating massive amounts of exports for the global market, in addition to providing for its own citizens. Lastly, in order to make domestic products more attractive, the establishment of a heavy tariff on all imports is crucial. This creates an environment for business operators, not owners, to use domestically produced products, and thereby creating more jobs. To recap the economic solution: 0. The abolition of private property and the establishment of government-owned, but privately operated business. 2. The establishment of a heavy and progressive income tax. 3. The legalization and taxation of prostitution and marijuana. 4. The establishment of an agricultural and industrial powerhouse. 5. The implementation of a market economy on a global scale. 6. The establishment of a heavy tariff on all imports. These 6 points will pull America out of the Great Recession to not only thrive, but survive.